Hey guys, and welcome back to Mother's Barbecue. On this video, I'm gonna be doing another brisket, and I know I've been doing briskets, but I have a lot of inconsistency with my brisket, and I need to find my style of doing it, my way of doing it. The last brisket I did, I was not looking at temp, but trying to go with tenderness, and then it ended up being too dry. So on this trial, we're gonna use a prime brisket, about an 8-9 pound, trim it. We're gonna put it in the Kamado Joe, smoke it till it gets to a good color that I like, put it into a tinfoil container with some beef broth and some butter, seal it up tight, and about the 195, 200 mark, I'm gonna start testing for probe and try not to go too over. So let's see how it turns out. So here we have a prime brisket. It's about 9 pounds, 8.86, I believe, when we started out. I did some minor trimming on it, nothing crazy on it. This is obviously the fat side up. I'm gonna hit it with some Worcestershire sauce like I always do. So the last time I did a brisket, it was a prime. I did it on the Kamado Joe, and I was going off of tenderness and not temperature. And it ended up being really dry. It still had great flavor. The people who ate it loved it, but to me, it was just dry. It was just over, too much. So I'm trying to perfect my way of doing a brisket. So I have a standard that I do. Right now, I'm kind of all over the board on how I do a brisket, with wrapping, not wrapping, foil, butcher paper, even doing it in a tinfoil pan, which I think I like that method a little bit better, but we're gonna see here. So this rub is just my really simple espresso rub that I do. I'll have the recipe for that down below. We'll get this coated. All right, so this is exactly how we're gonna put it on the Kamado Joe, fat side down. And basically, I'm gonna just go off of color. When it gets to the color I like, I'm gonna put it into a tinfoil pan with a rack in there and add a little bit of beef broth in there so it can sort of steam in there a little bit. I know that the rub, the bark's not gonna set as good, but this is not competition. I'm trying to perfect this for flavor and tenderness for when I serve to people. So that's gonna be my technique. If it works, I think I'm gonna stick to that, but if not, we're gonna try another one. So we're gonna let this rest, let this rub just set up, and wait for the Kamado Joe to get to temp. All right, so my Kamado Joe temp is showing 300. My Maverick is 282, and I'm using a Barbecue Guru that's showing 311. So I'm gonna average that. We're where we need to be. Go ahead and get this on there. And I'm going to use one probe for the point. And one probe for the flat. And that's it. We'll let this cruise until I get to the color I like, and then we'll go ahead and put it into our tinfoil pan. So we are about 4 hours in. Let's take a look. It's got great color. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and transfer this over to an aluminum pan. I hope this fits. Gonna add some butter to that. Some good beef broth. Get it sealed up nice and tight. We're gonna let this go until internal temp around the point gets about 203, you know, just a little over 200. The flat about 195, 200. And we'll see how that goes. So our brisket has been in for about 7 hours. Again, it's not a very big brisket. We have been keeping the temp around 300, you know, 275, 300. My Maverick is showing 198, 197. So at this point, I'm gonna start checking for tenderness. Got that nice little wiggle. Probe's going in pretty good. Point's really tender. I'm gonna call this one good. Didn't cook very long. Go ahead and take these probes out. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and put the foil back on, and I'm gonna throw it in my Cambro warmer. You can put this in an oven that's not, you know, obviously turned on, or wrap it up in some foil, throw it in a cooler with some blankets or towels. We're gonna let this rest for about an hour. So we will see in a little bit, and we'll see how we did. So here's our brisket, 7 hours on the Kamado Joe. When it got to about 180, and also to the way the color I liked, I went ahead and put it into a foil pan on a rack with a little beef broth and some butter, covered it up tightly, and let it cruise until it got to about 198, and I started testing for tenderness, and this is what we got. Now this has sat a little bit longer than I expected. I was expecting an hour, but I had stuff to do, so I had to get it done. But here we are. It's still warm, still nice and jiggly. So we're gonna go ahead and just slice this stuff up. And the one thing that I'm liking so far is usually, you know, the point, I'm sorry, not the point, but the flat. It's usually the first thing to like really just dry up, but I don't see that here. And it's slicing really nice. I like the smoke ring. So far, so good. Seeing a lot of juice. I'm just going to keep going. All right. So, as you can see, that little fat ring in there, the fat layer, still nice and juicy. It's got a nice little wiggle to it. I don't like squeezing. You know, I see people that cut into it and they squeeze it to prove it's juicy. It's juicy. Let's grab one of these slices. Not too bad. Do the pull test. It got a little tug, but it's not too bad. I like it. Let's go ahead and see what this tastes like. All right, so there's a nice thick piece, and it's got a great bend to it. Again, got a little tug to it, but it's not too bad. Let's go ahead and see what this tastes like. Real beefy. It's got a nice smoke to it. That rub's not overpowering, but it still gives it a little something to it. So this technique of putting it into a foil pan with some butter, I really like it. It works. Next time I'm just gonna do, again, smoke it until I like the color and then wrap it in foil this time to see if there's any major difference. I've done it before, but like I said, I got a lot of inconsistency with my briskets, and I just wanna find a method that works and it's consistent. So remember guys, comment down below what you think, any suggestions, and remember, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next run. Thanks for watching.